Stream. And now, your hosts, Scott, Jana, and Nine. You wanted the dirt on Tulsa. You got it.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Tulsa Music Stream. I am Scott Squires. This is Jana Squires.
You got your sultry voice on. I like it.
Uh-huh.
Smooth sounds. We are unfortunately nineless tonight again, but he will be back in this big red chair very soon. So it's old school. It's like you and me on the back porch again, Scott.
Absolutely.
It's crazy.
But this is the Tulsa Music Stream, so we're proud and glad that everybody is in here watching tonight. Make sure you share this stream to your favorite pages, your favorite groups, and your personal pages just to get more people to come into the chat room and be able to ask Mr. Billy Sheehan some questions.
Yes.
And also we are on YouTube and Twitter, and we are on multiple platforms right now.
It's
so make
true.
sure you subscribe to YouTube. If you have a channel in YouTube, just hit subscribe and maybe the little bell, and it'll give you a notification when we go live. So
true.
yeah,
We think we got all our technical junk fixed up. Thank you for bearing with us through that stuff. We needed to replace a cable and a modem, and I think we're cranking now. It's looking good so far, but amazingly enough, that terrible connection, that interview got picked up by a lot of not only national but worldwide publications.
Yeah.
Very exciting.
Egypt, pretty cool.
Yeah, who would have thought, huh? But we're going to get Billy on here in just a few minutes. We would be remiss if we did not send our condolences, love, thoughts, and prayers to everyone affected by the loss of Nate Hull. I mean, we've suffered a devastating loss. Everyone loved Nate. And I also want to make sure that you guys know about... to be part of such a special, important event that will benefit Nate's family. And again, we just want to send our love and thoughts to everyone who's suffering terribly from that loss.
We do want to thank Simran for inviting us to join in on that. But we've had some other things that we have to do. So we did make a donation. So hopefully the family can... everyone can donate and give what they can to
please.
the family and the children and everything like that.
Yes.
And I guess the funeral expenses are taken care of. So, we did our part, and we hope that everyone goes and has an amazing time. I guess live life, that day for Nate.
Yes. And Tim, I thank you for your message. I just now realized what I did, so we won't put those pictures up again because I messed up on something. But please do make sure you go to that benefit at Cimarron on August 22nd, Sunday. It's going to be a great lineup, and make sure you go support, and please support the families. Scott, I'm gonna kick off the Zoom meeting. Why don't you talk a little bit about what we got coming up Saturday night, and I'll get this stuff rolling.
So this Saturday we are going to be at the IDL Ballroom with Dead Metal Society. It will be August 7th, and it's the last show there at the IDL Ballroom. So we're going to go out with a bang, Rocket Science and Dead Metal Society. So I know that all the tables are reserved and taken and stuff. So make sure you guys get your tickets and come on out, and let's have one big last hurrah there at IDL Ballroom. I think it's going to be awesome.
Definitely.
Both bands are on fire these days, so I think it's time to just go out there and kick some ass, and that's exactly what we're planning on doing.
It's going to be fantastic. Billy Sheehan is already ready to come in, so let me get him in here, and we will get this thing going.
Hi, Billy. How you doing?
Good evening. How are you?
See if you can hear us. Can you hear us okay?
Billy?
Hey, Billy. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good,
Great.
good.
I'm trying to get it to where we just see you instead of this other strange thing going on here. So give me just a moment here.
I'm trying to turn you guys up so I can hear you.
Oh, okay. You having a hard time hearing?
You're there, but it's quiet.
Okay. Well, we'll see if we can.
Get closer to your mic, maybe? I don't know.
There we go. Can you hear me all right?
Yes, I can.
All right.
Okay. I don't know why this screen looks funky the way it does, but Scott, why don't you kick off some questions for Billy?
I wanted to congratulate you with your was it the 30th anniversary for Lean Into It?
Yeah, pretty cool.
It's 30 years. Imagine that, man.
I couldn't. 30 years ago, I couldn't imagine it.
Yeah,
That's
I was
fine.
actually,
Thanks very much.
You're welcome. A lot of talent on that album, and a lot of talent from Mr. Big for sure. You guys are huge in Japan. You guys, did really, really well in the 80s, and great talent, and Paul Gilbert and everybody. Tell me a little bit about the Japan. I mean, you guys just blew up in Japan. It's just crazy.
Well, it's unfortunately the cliche kind of leads the story as opposed to the truth. We did great in Japan. We still do. We played all over the country too, not just Osaka and Tokyo. From Kagoshima with the volcano and palm trees in the south to Sapporo with the ice sculptures in the winter, and every point in between, East Coast, West Coast. But we did quite well in a lot of places that get ignored. In Brazil, we had 100,000 people on the beach, Santos Beach outside of Sao Paulo. In Italy, there was 5 Mr. Big copy bands at one point.
Wow.
And so we've been very lucky. Japan, of course, is quite awesome, and they're wonderful people. But our German, French, Italian, Norwegian, Swedish, British, English, Irish, Scottish fans are pretty awesome too. But the cool thing about Japan is, and I recommend anybody, if you want to go someplace that's like going to another planet as far as exotic and seeing things you couldn't possibly imagine, but still being safe and still finding English pretty much everywhere. Mm-hmm. Japan is the place to go. It's pretty amazing. And I've been there over 60 times through the years, so that's a lot of transoceanic traveling there. A lot of frequent flyer mileage.
Right. Well, we're going to dig into your past here in a little bit, but we certainly want to hear about the exciting things going on in the Winery Dogs camp right now. It looks like you guys are in the middle of writing new material. How is that coming along? And is this just the writing process, or are you guys actually starting recording now?
A little of both, but it's mostly writing. We write like people used to write in the old days. The band gets together in a room and we start figuring things out. And I love it that way, as opposed to, getting outside writers or having one guy be the writer and everybody plays his songs, Right. So we work together as a band quite well. And it went really swimmingly. We weren't, killing ourselves, but we were working hard.
Right.
We got about 8 or 10 things ready to go. And then we're going to go back and do it again the end of this month.
Okay.
For another session. And if at that point we feel we've got a great record, in our humble opinion, we'll go ahead and do it. If not, we'll write some more. We, the Winery Dogs, we did really great. The first record, we got lucky. Eddie Trunk was a huge help to us and sold great. Our attendance at shows was amazing, and we're very, very grateful for it. Then not long after, we did our second record, Hot Streak, and that did really well too. Usually the second record, it's a little bit more iffy.
Right.
But it was fantastic. So we thought, instead of just doing record tour, and burning out, so let's all go off and do our thing and meet back up here in a couple of years when we have some stories to tell again.
Right.
I think that was the beauty of the first record, and even into the second record, is we had the stories that we had saved up for years, where the bassist of songs. Maybe the songs is not necessarily about those things, but the inspiration for songs. And so it enabled us to be to open up a broad spectrum of subjects to write about. So now that we've all gone off and lived our lives for a few years and done a lot more things back together, we got a lot more stories to talk about, and we're much very, very happily inspired.
That's exciting, man.
Well, I know, Eat 'em and Smile, you with the tour with Dave Lee Roth, and just recently, you were on tour with Cinderella that year, and we just left Jeff LaBar. Tell me, do you have any stories about Jeff back in the day when you guys took him on their first tour?
Well, the one story is we kept wondering, where are the guys in Cinderella? We get done with our show, and where are those guys? We don't know. Why are they leaving every night? We're thinking, well, I thought they might want to hang out and, have a few beers and party or something. Great band. And we found out later that the security guy said, the moment your set is done, you must leave the building. We had no idea.
Wow.
The band members, we had no idea. And then finally we saw him one time, like before. So, hey, you guys, we had no idea they were telling you that. And what a drag. So imagine the good times we could have had. Jeff is a wonderful guy and a great player. Sad to lose him. It's been a tough last couple of years. We've lost a lot, some very close to me, some that I just have great regard for. It's a sad time. There's that bubble of age group that are getting a little older now, that the guys that were around in the 60s and 70s.
Yeah.
Did you know Dusty Hill?
Oh, man, that was a tough one.
Yeah, it was.
Dusty, I'm a huge ZZ Top fan, and
yeah.
I've been had the opportunity to hang quite a bit with Billy Gibbons, and unfortunately I never did with Dusty, but I just absolutely love the guy. And
yeah,
when it happened, I was speechless. Plus I heard about it before the band made the announcement, and I didn't want to say anything, so I just posted Dusty's picture.
Yeah,
with nothing. Most people figured it out. And
yeah,
what a sad day.
Boy, it was indeed. It was.
Absolutely. Now, I read an article where go back to the Japan stuff, where you said you have like a lot of bootlegs, and you said you basically almost have like almost every single show. I mean, how much space do you actually have to like have all of these like bootleg videos of all of your shows? That's just got to be crazy.
Well, my iTunes is 2 terabytes with no video. That's no video. It's just audio. But that's not just Mr. Big, of course. It's bootlegs from everything you could imagine. Jimi Hendrix Band of Gypsies rehearsals the day before the show. Beatles writing sessions where they're sitting there singing While My Guitar Gently Weeps, George on the couch, and John Lennon sitting singing along with them. All kinds of outtakes and bootlegs and things like that. In Germany, it was quite popular. In Japan, they had quite a bit as well of they weren't, difference between bootleg and pirated. Pirated is when you take an actual commercial product and copy it and sell it. A bootleg is an unauthorized recording that me as a band member, I would want to go there and get the Mr. Big bootlegs because I didn't have the shows recorded. So we had, and they because they were bootlegging our shows and selling them, they let us take whatever we want. Very generous of them. So we'd go out of there with stacks of, Genesis outtakes and Beatle rehearsals and you name it. Unbelievable. So the collection is quite awesome. The video collection I'm still compiling. It's a 8 terabyte drive, and we're almost full. So a lot of stuff. I'm kind of people call me a hoarder, but it's actually I'm an archivist.
What's funny is you came here to Tulsa, and it was a thing called D-Fest, and you were doing like a seminar type thing, and me and her actually were there and talked to you a little bit, and you had a computer or whatever, and you started bringing up like YouTube videos. And I don't know what year that is. I think it was 2006. And I don't think I even like browsed through YouTube at that point. So you were like kind of going through, you're like, man, you're like talking about YouTube and how great it was, and I thought after that seminar I went and got YouTube, of course, and checked it out. But it's just funny how you were like introduced me to YouTube basically. So that kind of goes with cool. I guess.
Well, so you can find almost anything there. There was one guy, I believe his name is David Moore. He's on a wonderful fan site that a young girl from Argentina made for me, and it's a great collection of my friends and a lot of fans. I refer to fans as friends. They're kind of, for me, very much interchangeable. And he finds stuff of mine that I've never even seen before, and he'll post it on there. I go, how in the world did you get this stuff? And it's nice to know it's out there, because it'll live on forever. Once something's on the internet, it never goes away,
Yeah.
We just marvel when we get to have these interviews with people of your stature and your accomplishments, and how you just have stayed so down to earth. And we just appreciate that so much. And I read a report that in March I don't know if these videos are done, but you were going to work on a video series of how to make a cheap bass play better. And I want to know, like, what inspired you to do that, and are those videos ready for viewing now?
Well, I get a lot of requests from folks in third world countries.
Okay.
This is my Yamaha bass. They're expensive, It's a great bass. I believe it's really worth it. I make a small royalty because I designed it with them. Okay. But I'd be embarrassed to tell you how much it was. It's not that much at all. But it concerns me sometimes that people can't get a great bass, and they're all worried that they got to have this big expensive thing in order to qualify to be an actual bass player. I go, no. If it's got a neck and 4 strings and a body, we can probably make it play great if you know what to do. And I've always done my own work on my instruments. Back when I started, there was no guitar repair place or luthiers. Mm-hmm. They didn't exist. You had to figure it out on your own. Sure. And get a chisel out and go at it. So I did that primarily to show people you don't really need to drop thousands of bucks on a bass. It's nice if you can. It's a nice luxury. Right. But just to get in a cheap bass, know how to make some adjustments, get the frets flattened out. You can always get a better pickup, probably a DiMarzio one, and tuning pegs. Everything's replaceable. It's like a car. You can get a cheap junker car, but then, put a new thing in it, and new tires and paint job, and pretty soon you got a nice car.
Now, have you always played Yamaha bass? Have you been with them since day one, pretty much?
I think my endorsement with Yamaha is the longest standing artist bass endorsement with any company.
Wow.
I think.
That's incredible.
They had a signature bass. But my original bass is right, if I can point it out, it's right there.
Okay, wow, yeah.
That's my original P bass that I put a Telecaster neck on. Next to it is her sister, which is the backup. And then next to that is a Yamaha version for a 30-year anniversary they did of the Attitude bass. Wow. They did an Attitude that looked like the original, how it looked when it was new. Right. So we could kind of pay tribute, because it all kind of came from that bass. Okay. All the things on here were experimented on there, but done much better by the Yamaha people than I could ever do it. So.
Right.
So tell me a little bit about some Talus. That was the first introduction to Billy Sheehan for me. I went down to the local record store, and I was in a car wreck as a young kid, and so I got this sum of money from my parents, and I went and blew it all on records, and Talus was one of them. Big hit parader guy and Circus magazine, so I knew a little bit about you guys, and of course Shy Boy's on this album, and then you go and it somehow gets on the Daily Roth album, which is awesome. But you had U2 open for you in those days, and you did something with Van Halen, I believe.
Well, we played every Monday night at this club called Stage One, and the owner of the club was the local promoter, who was also our manager. So he wanted it as a showcase club. So we played Monday, and we're kind of a local institution, if you will. So once in a while they'd have a band open up for us, and we would know who they were. And I remember one night we walked in, who's opening up tonight? They go, and I said something about a submarine. some submarine band. I go, what's their name? I go, something like a submarine. I don't know. Then it was U2. Oh, we had no idea who they were. It was their very first tour in America. They were excellent, and they were so kind. They left a little note in the dressing room. Thanks for letting us use light, sound, and PA and all that. And The Edge, signed The Edge. And we told people that story for years. There were people like, bullshit, come on, no way.
Right.
It's impossible. So years later, U2 was headlining at Rich Stadium where the Buffalo Bills play. 80,000 people, sold out. And Bono's on the mic going, well, I remember the first time we played Buffalo, and we were amazed because there were people there. And he goes, probably because we're opening up for a band called Talus.
Wow.
And the whole place, you could hear the jaws drop. Like,
Wow.
it's true. And somebody bootlegged that show where Bono says that. And I got that. That's another thing in my archive. I got Bono explaining that they opened up for Talus. That was pretty cool.
That's got to be so cool.
Man, it's amazing.
Wow.
Pretty cool.
And so you were in Buffalo, and then what year did you move to L.A.? Because I know that now you're in Nashville, but what year did you jump from New York to L.A.?
Summer of '85.
85.
We got in 1 week we got 3 phone calls. Talus was playing, and our office, our manager got a phone call. The William Morris agency called, and they want to sign you, a booking agency. Wow, that's amazing. I want you to put you guys on tour with Yngwie. He's starting his first North American tour. Yngwie Talus starts in L.A. Woo, great. Next call came in. It was from Danny Goldberg's office. He had a record company called Gold Mountain. He later went on to be Nirvana's manager.
Wow.
And he wanted to sign the band. Oh, holy cow, amazing. So the third call came in. It was David Lee Roth's office telling our manager that Dave's doing a movie and he wants me to be in it.
Wow.
I said, what? So I go, well, I'm going out to LA for this other thing anyway, so tell him I'll have a meeting out there. So I get to LA and to start the Talus Yngwie tour. Still lived in Buffalo, but I was on tour now. And this guy came by, picked me up, drove me out to Dave's house, and I go, what's going on? He goes, well, there is a movie, but I want to start a band. He goes, I quit Van Halen. That's the first I'd heard of it. It was a complete secret at the time. I quit Van Halen. I'm going to start a band. It's going to be you and me. We'll find a guitar player and a drummer and go. What do you think? And I go, I'm in.
Wow.
So right after that tour, he flew me out to L.A. and summer of ’85 was the beginning of my 32 years in L.A.
Goodness sakes. Tell us about Nashville. When did you move there, and what's the music scene like there now? Because correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't a lot of the guys who really thrived in the 80s in L.A., didn't they kind of make the jump to Nashville in the 90s, and some of them even got in like country bands?
Yeah, I'm not a country
Vegas.
guy. I don't do that. Country isn't my thing. I appreciate it. I like it.
Sure.
The Zac Brown band came into town, and one of the guys in the band was a friend of mine, so they invited me up to play whipping post with Zac Brown band. It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Great players, wonderful players, and but I'm not necessarily a country guy. But it is really Music City. It's all about music and players and playing, no matter what style you're doing. There's jazz guys here. Jeff Berlin just moved here. All the kinds of rock people live here. It's a great, friendly, cool, fun, supportive music scene. Very much like LA was up to, I'd say, the late '90s. It's kind of fallen apart badly.
Right.
Sad to see. But it's Music City, and it's wonderful, and it's safe, and it's clean, and people are friendly, and true Southern hospitality. And in LA, it's getting, for me, it's dangerous. If my wife is out driving her car and somebody rips the door open and drags her out of the car, that's a real possibility, so we don't, we're concerned about that. So it broke our hearts. So LA was where I made it, everything happened for me because of LA. And my whole life, I always loved LA. Every TV show I saw was shot in LA, and every movie, and so it was heartbreaking to leave, but we had to do it, and we're really glad we did, though. It's just we got a beautiful home here in an incredible neighborhood, and it's safe and clean, and it's quality of life.
Yeah.
So how heartbroken were the guys in Talus when you went ahead and jumped with Daily Roth? Because you said you guys were on the verge of getting signed, and then David gives you a call, and you somehow got the number 2 song track, Shy Boy, on Eat 'Em and Smile. How did that all work out?
Well, Dave liked the song and said, you want to do it on the record? I go, yeah, great. And a lot of times in that situation, because it's Dave's record, he could say, well, I'll put your song on my record, but I want 90% of your publishing money. And a musician would say, well, 10% of something is better than 100% of nothing, so go ahead. But Dave was so generous, he never even brought it up. It was my song, it was on the record. I got the publishing royalties for it. And he was very generous to us for the whole Eat 'Em and Smile thing. He was a wonderful guy. So I'm so pleased that he decided to do that song, and he kicked ass on it too. And he came up with the idea in the solo section to go to a different chord, because in the original it stays on the same thing the whole time.
Yeah, right.
Where we did a key switch to a relative minor to give the solo a different feel. That was Dave's contribution to it. Really great. So it was very kind of him to do that.
So Billy, tell me, truth or myth? Now this is a bass related question. Is it true that bass players who play with their fingers have disdain for bass players who play with a pick?
I don't.
Okay.
Some do. It's the musicians, I wish they'd relax sometimes, because 4-string bass, no 5-string, no 6-string, I hate you play, no, you suck because no, it's all bass, bro, we're good. Pick, fingers, drill, violin, bow, however you want to play it, it's okay. I love some amazing pick players. Matter of fact, Victor Wooten, incredible, one of the greatest bass players of all time. He does this amazing thumb technique. And he told me he got it from a bass player who used a pick. And he didn't have a pick, so he started using his thumb like a pick. And Carlos Benavent, I think is the bass player's name too. So I think Paul McCartney played with a pick for a long time. Geddy may have. I might be wrong on that. And a lot of guys. It's okay. It's okay. It's all right.
Now, I've heard that some bass players who play with their fingers live, like when they go and record, they go record with a pick because they feel like it gives it more consistency or
more
something.
precision.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Hard to say.
Yeah, it's a different thing. Everybody sounds different.
Yes.
No matter what you do, there's going to be some bit of your DNA in there that makes it sound like you. A lot of people are trying to get a tone and trying to get a sound. I go, stop trying. Play songs, perform. 5 or 6 years down the road, you go, oh, there's my sound right there. I didn't have to do anything. It's all in your hands to a large degree.
Do you feel like to this day you're still discovering new things about the instrument?
Oh, man. Every day. I come down here to my little studio area and work out for hours. And every day there's something new or a new way of approaching things that I didn't think of before. And I've been playing for over, I think, 55 years.
My goodness. Wow.
And so years ago, I got an email from a kid. I've been playing bass for 6 months and I'm bored. What should I do? And I wrote back to him, quit. It's not for you, bro.
Right.
Find something else.
For whatever reason, we have had a plethora of bass players on here. We had Mike Kroger from Nickelback on with us last week, and I think he and you have kind of a similar attitude, and I love this attitude. I actually want to read a quote that you made when you chose the bass. You said, "I like being in that position of just holding things together." So, and I believe also later in that interview, you talked about the guitar being the glory instrument. So when you were young and you decided, I'm going with bass, how did you reach that decision?
Well, there's a guy in my neighborhood, Joe Hesse, and he lived around the corner. And I grew up at a time when there was bands everywhere, every block, every garage. There was bands all over the place. Furniture stores would move some couches to the side so they could put up their Vox amplifier display and sell gear in the furniture store. It was a band explosion like you couldn't possibly imagine. So Joe was a bass player. He was a cool guy. And a dear friend, of mine to this day. And I wanted to be like Joe. He was the bass player.
Mm-hmm.
And at night I was just a kid, so I'd be in bed already while they're rehearsing, and I could hear the bass traveling through the neighborhood, because you hear a subwoofer on a car half a mile away. Bass travels like nothing else. So I was always inspired by that. When I picked the first one up, it was big, and the guitar seemed little, and it had these thin little strings. And little did I know, guitar is the glory instrument, and bass is the working man. Guitar is like the pitcher of a baseball team. Bass is like the catcher. You're working the whole time. Nobody knows who you are, but all the glory goes to pitcher. Rightfully so, of course. But I've never been much of a glory person. I really just want to play and do my best. And it's I'm glad I'm with bass is tall and skinny like I am, and I got a low voice. So I guess we matched up.
Perfect.
So I brought up that you were here in 2006 for the D-Fest seminar that you did here, but you also played here with the Winery Dogs, Rocklahoma. I believe that was 2015. It's Rocklahoma fever down here right now, so everyone is all into it, and we have some people in the chat room, and I know many of them are will be going to Rocklahoma. But do you have any good memories? I believe that was like a mud or a storm during the time that you guys were down here in Rocklahoma.
I don't recall that. Maybe it was just after us, but I don't remember it being any kind of any problem like that. But we had a great time. We had a wonderful time. It's a legendary festival, and I can see it only getting bigger and broader too. That's fantastic.
Right.
Yeah, we'd love to have you guys back down here for sure.
We'd love to come for sure.
Definitely so. Hey, if you would, just give us some of your favorite memories, or just share some thoughts about both Steve Vai and Richie Kotzen and what it's like working with both of those guys.
Well, Steve's been like... Yeah, well, I'm lucky. I play with a lot of great musicians.
Absolutely.
Really, really great players. Drummers, guitar players, great singers, amazing keyboard players. And I'm supremely grateful for the opportunities I've had. Drummers, all the Talus drummers were great. The last Talus drummer was Mark Miller, and he was such a badass. Mike Portnoy posted a photo of the first Dream Theater rehearsal, and Mike's wearing a Talus shirt because he was Mark Miller's fan. Ray Lugier from Korn's a good friend of mine. He lives here in Nashville also now, and he said him and his friends just take like shaky video of us playing in Pittsburgh near where Ray's from, just to see Mark Miller play. And we just did a new Talus record, and Mark's on that, and he's as good as ever.
Wow.
But he was a great, great drummer. The drummer before him was a great player also. All the guitar players and singers. We got in with David Lee Roth, everybody. Greg Bissonette, amazing. Steve, Mr. Big, Pat Torpey on drums. What a wonderful soul and a great player. God rest his soul. And Paul Gilbert. Really, I sometimes wince when I hear people just talking about shred Paul Gilbert, because he can do anything, and he does anything. He dove deep into the blues for about 2 years, and all he did was find the most authentic, rare, deep blues players and learn on their stuff. And he's quite an accomplished player. Richie Kotzen, he's playing with no pick now. He plays with no pick.
Really?
Wow.
And he has all the Winery Dog stuff is no pick. And what a voice, man.
Mm-hmm.
And Mr. Big with Eric Martin's voice. Come on. It's
we're
really lucky. And then I played with the greatest frontman in the world with David Lee Roth, whose voice I happen to love, too.
Sure.
Yeah.
And it's pretty cool. It's been quite an adventure.
You bet.
It's a lot to take in, It's like like constant Christmases, for you.
That's true.
Unwrapping all these presents.
Right.
That's right.
Awesome.
That's right.
We have some people in the chat room, and I was going to get to some of the people that are asking some questions for you.
Why don't you go look for those? I'm going to ask Billy a question. A lot of people in our peer group that play the bass, of course, you're at the top of the list of influences, but I want to know, give us maybe 2 or 3 of your top influences on the instrument.
Well, just about everyone and everything has been an influence. All kinds of musicians, not just bass players, piano, classical music, stringed instruments, cello, viola, violin, sax players, B3, Hammond B3. A lot of stuff has been an influence. And a lot of other things that are non-musical too, just having an open point of view and being a little bit selfless, not selfish, selfless.
Right.
And just things like that. But I'll go by the top three, and they were also the three first ones, would be Paul McCartney.
Okay.
Because I saw the Beatles and I saw the girls scream and said, I want that job. That's why
Right.
that's got to be my job. Me and 20 million other people said the exact same thing. And soon after that, one of the first records I got into was the Yardbirds having a rave up with the Yardbirds. Now, some people may have heard of the Yardbirds because they're 1,000 years old, of course, but Jimmy Page, Eric Clapton, and Jeff Beck were all members of the Yardbirds at one point or another, but their bass player was Paul Samwell Smith, and he was amazing.
Yeah.
He did all this incredible stuff, this Lost Woman by the Yardbirds, and a riff like that on bass was like Yngwie at the time. We couldn't believe our ears. And then the other one, sadly, we just lost him too, was Tim Bogert from the Vanilla Fudge.
Right.
He was a great bass player, an amazing singer, and the Fudge were an incredible band. They changed. They really had a huge influence on a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
So those are the first three. But since then, there's been, and there continues to be, just hundreds of great players. Drummers too. I'm a big fan of drums and drumming, and Indian music and world music, things like that. So
Sure.
it's all had its place there.
That's great.
So we have a question in the chat room from a Doug Weber. He says, "Is it true that John Sykes was originally going to be the guitarist vocalist for the Winery Dogs project?"
No.
No.
That was easy.
No. Mike and I talked with John a little bit about starting something. Schedules didn't align, and the Winery Dogs did not exist at all, and so Mike and I decided to go, look elsewhere, and we eventually Eddie Trunk, and I slapped myself in the head. Why didn't I think of that? Eddie Trunk says you should get Richie Kotzen. Of course.
Wow.
Sings like a bird, he can play anything, and so we got together at Richie's. But that was well after there's no relationship between the two at all. John Sykes is a wonderful guy, great player, quite an iconic musician, but there's no relation.
Derek Thrasher in the chat room, he says, "Behind the scenes footage is so cool. Are the Winery Dogs documenting studio album number 3 to release? Tour footage is always awesome too."
Mike Portnoy's got his GoPro camera up all the time, and I bought one too. So next time I'm back, I'm going to have my GoPro around, and we'll do with that footage whatever we can. I like it too because I'm a fan, and I love to see what happened. How this came to be, and
right,
how it all worked out. It was great help to me when I began to learn that, because when I was a young player and hadn't written a lot of songs yet and didn't really know what direction, hearing a band like putting a song together, that makes perfect sense. It really helped me a lot to see, and then hearing the original versions before they were done for the record of some songs. I've got the first take of the Byrds playing 8 Miles High, which is an iconic 12-string, amazing solo. And I thought, and when I found out about it, I go, man, I can't wait to hear this. I put it on. It was a catastrophe. And he must have been just, turning his guitar on, getting things that it's supposed to, it's bang, bang, bar. But of course, later on, it became one of the greatest solos, one of my favorite solos of all time, 12-string guitar. But hearing him, start out and getting it tuned up, and then I didn't feel so bad when I'm working my way through a part and not doing it so well, and then later on when I work at it, I get it done. It was inspiring to me.
Right. We've got another question from Jason Fritz. He says, "Is there anyone that Billy still wants to perform with and hasn't had the chance yet?"
Well, for years I wanted to play, though I don't think I'm qualified. But I would have faked my way through it somehow. Paco de Lucia, he was a Spanish flamenco guitarist, and well, he's no longer living. We passed away, we lost him, but he was just a living legend when he was alive, and such a pure, incredible example of a genre of music that is very close to anyone that plays fingerstyle or anything with strings and frets on it. It touches that very, very closely. So unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to, but I've been pretty lucky to play with Dennis Chambers on drums. Man, incredible. Chick Corea, Billy Gibbons jammed together at a tour one time. And
that'd be cool.
A lot of guys, pretty cool. So I'm the only guy that's ever played with every member of Van Halen.
Is that right? Wow.
I played with Ed and Al up at the studio. I played with Ed also on a benefit concert. Played with Gary Sharon when we did the Who tribute, me, Mike Portnoy, Paul Gilbert, and Gary.
Wow.
Played with Dave, of course. Sammy Hagar was, I played with him for a benefit show. And also Michael Anthony. We did a special thing for Ampeg one time. And we got up with one of the guys from Uriah Heep and played Easy Livin'. Me and Michael Anthony singing the parts. And so, I actually did play with Wolfie, but he was very, very young. And we're coming home on a plane, and Ed wanted to sleep. Ed asked me to join him on the trip back to L.A. from the benefit show we did. So I knew he wanted to sleep, so I got Wolfie's attention. I got a pen and some paper, and we started drawing animals and colors and playing with him just so Ed could sleep. I remember Ed woke up and looked, "You'd make a hell of a father." Go back to sleep. So actually, technically, I did play with him. So
that's so cool.
You seem to be a super fan. I know you're well respected in the music world, and everyone seems to gravitate towards you, but you seem to be a super fan to all these guys yourself. So that's really cool.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Like I said, my iTunes collection is quite amazing. I have a couple of people over, get a few glasses of wine, start to break open. My iTunes collection has a focus, and it is some of the greatest music you've never heard that's going to blow your mind. And also some of the worst music that exists anywhere under the sun, moon, and stars. But some of it is so bad that it's actually good. I mean, it's so bad, it goes all the way around the circle of badness to good again. And so we have a riot. I sit and play great songs by great artists, and I always will be a fan. It's important to me.
That's great.
We have a comment in the chat room by Marty Overby. He says, "Hey kids, I've been watching all of this out in my living room with some friends, but I wanted to log in and let you all know that I'm watching and enjoying the hell out of this interview. Billy is one cool cat and my all-time favorite bass player."
Aw, that's great.
Very kind. Yeah. Well, it takes one to know one, bro. Thank you very much.
And we appreciate Marty making this connection with you as well. We'll keep you for just a couple more minutes. Thank you so much for your time tonight.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
You strike me as a person that loves to learn and loves to teach. And do you enjoy both equally, or do you have a real heart for just imparting your knowledge into other players? Like what do you like the most, learning or teaching?
Well, I'm not a teacher and don't give lessons, but I can explain things to another player. I don't look at them as lesser or greater than whatever, but I think I can explain things to people. And when I do, I learn it all over again and much better. They say if you really know something, you should be able to explain it to a 5-year-old, even nuclear physics. If you know your nuclear physics, you should be able to explain it to a 5-year-old, what it is. And so I find it's a real challenge sometimes to take some oddball proprietary move that only another bass player would understand, and even a lot of them might not get it, and be able to explain it to somebody who just picked up his bass last week.
Right.
It's a real challenge to do that. So it forces you to dig deep of your understanding and demonstrate that understanding by explaining it to someone else so they understand and they can
Sure.
do it. And I always look at it as the final test. You know, I can show a guy a thing that play, but I want to get him to the point where he can do it. You know, maybe slow, maybe not, up to speed or whatever. Maybe only the first half, or maybe a part of it, but at least you're chipping away at the mountain and sit there and get a little bit of it. So I do love helping my fellow musician very, very much, and it's a passion of mine. I do a master classes here in Nashville where just sit down one-on-one in a music store. They made a little room, like a living room with a couch and lamps and stuff and 2 amps, and sit there and they videotape the whole thing, and anybody can come down and sit with me for an hour, 15 or whatever, and hang out. And I bring my original P bass and my double neck and stuff for them to try out and look at. And universally, everyone has contacted me afterwards and explained that they feel they're doing better.
Wow, that's
something
great.
Aspects of the playing is better, not necessarily faster or this or that, but it's better. It's seated in them better than it was before, and that's very, very great to hear.
Definitely
Wonderful to hear.
Do you
And-
still
and then
get a
again,
lot of
sorry.
emails and comments? I think you said something that almost every day you get an email or someone comments about Eat 'em and Smile. Is that still true?
Yes, sir.
Wow.
Yeah, it's funny. When you put out a record, now there's probably a lot of musicians, if they happen to be listening in and they've done the same, and they would know this to be true. You put out a record, it has a life of its own, and it travels the world. And then years go by, and you start hearing back from people. And I made it a point to save some very touching emails that I've gotten from people over the years. You know, a guy's, just has some kind of a horrible surgery and it's not looking good, or someone's on the edge of suicide or terminal disease or divorce, or they're someone close to them dying. And they found some solace and some comfort in music that I had something to do with.
Wow.
Now, there's no greater reward for me personally than to get a note from someone saying that something I did was in some way a boost or a help to them
Right.
when they needed it most. I got one today in particular. A gentleman had botched surgery on his back and he's paralyzed from the waist down. Now he's a bass player. And so his friend wrote to me and I wrote back to him, and just,
Wow.
what do you say?
Oh
It's
my
tough.
gosh.
So I just, you gotta have some courage to figure out what to say. I said, bro, I'm glad you're fighting back, and don't let it stop you, and
Yeah.
anything is possible. And I believe all that's true. And I heard back from him. He was quite wonderful to hear from him. So I think is my good deed for the day.
That's so
I hope
cool.
anyway. But to be with you, we play in India, and there's thousands of people, and they're singing along, and you see tears coming out of people's eyes. Oh man, come on, it's unbelievable. It's so
It's
great.
beautiful.
So pretty cool.
This empty red chair that's sitting between Scott and I is normally filled with our third co-host. He goes by the nickname Nine. He wanted to make sure that you knew he's our co-host and fellow bassist, and he said he appreciates and marvels at your incredible skills, and he has so much respect. And we wish he was here with us tonight to ask you some questions, but we wanted to make sure we passed that along to you. And
Thank you.
yes, and before we let you go, would you indulge us with a little bit of playing? And I'm gonna put you on full screen.
I got one more question.
Okay,
though.
sure, go ahead.
I just
Sorry.
want to know his opinion on how you rate Skyscraper compared to Eat 'em and Smile. Where does Skyscraper go with you?
Well, Skyscraper was it's a style of playing where you plug your bass directly into the recording equipment. No amps, no speakers, no tone, no give. It's just a straight clinical, there's the note.
Right.
And so I had to do Skyscraper direct. There was no amp. What means you have to dig deep to get any personality out of the instrument at all. Some people prefer it, and it's a perfectly legitimate way of playing and used a lot, but that wasn't me. So it was difficult for me on Skyscraper. Plus, we didn't play together as a band. We played, and Eat 'em and Smile were all in the same room, hanging and playing. It was a riot. Skyscraper, I'd get the call, come on in Thursday at 8, and I'd get there and be the engineer and one other guy. I'd lay the bass down and see you guys later. Okay.
Wow.
And it just wasn't the same, sadly. But Eat 'em and Smile will always be hold a special place in my heart.
So
Awesome.
cool, man. You're the best. Well, Billy, we will be watching for the. Oh, I wanted to ask you one more thing. Sorry, I know you have new Winery Dogs stuff coming up. What about Sons of Apollo? Do you guys have anything coming up with that project?
Not yet, because we kind of got caught in the middle, because we just put our record out when the pandemic hit, and we were just starting to launch, and the record was doing great and had great reviews, and we were excited about it, and then all of a sudden, there's a what? The pandemic. And so sadly, I thought, we thought about doing another record in the downtime, but that we want to give the record we did a chance to get. So we're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place.
Sure.
It's really tough doing a record during the lockdown thing too.
Yes.
The new Talus record, which will be coming out soon, we just finished mixing it, but it took a long time because we had to do things over online and plus on top of the other catastrophes we had to deal with the new Talus record. Sadly, our singer passed away right after completing the vocals, and
Wow.
it's a very, very tough situation for us, but we got through it anyway. And the record is going to be, the purpose of the record is his legacy, because he was just a wonderful, wonderful guy. Phil Narrow is his name, and we lost him soon after the record was done. But yeah, what were we talking about? I forgot.
We're talking about all the cool stuff that you have coming up that we need to be watching for, and I guess we can stay up to date on all that stuff by visiting your website, billysheehan.com. Is that right?
That's right.
Well, that's never upgraded or updated.
Okay.
My Facebook and my Instagram, and I got a band Facebook and a personal Facebook, Instagram, and whatever else there is, Twitter. And I post pretty much the same thing on all of them. And so it's easy to find out. And any upcoming gigs or albums or anything, you'll get tired of me posting, because I'll post all about it for a while. And but I also post about my cat and our raccoons behind our house and all kinds of crazy things.
We're all about that. And I want to know real quick, I'm going to let you go after this, I promise. How did those empanadas turn out the other night?
Not too good.
A for effort, right?
but that's how you get good. Write a horrible song, and the next one you might actually hit something. Right. So I think the dough was might have been expired, been in the freezer for a while, but then the filling was good. So we didn't have enough of the empanada thing. So I had a pie crust.
Okay.
So I laid that out, made a giant empanada out of that. And that came out pretty good, but my regular didn't do too good. I'm a pretty good cook, but you can't win them all. That was one of my catastrophes. But my neighbors were kind enough. Oh, they were delicious. They're nice. I think they went home and ordered a pizza after that. So.
Oh, you're the best, Billy. Why don't you give us like 30 seconds of ripping it up on your bass, and then we're going to cut you loose. You are the man. Billy Sheehan.
Very kind.
We hope to see you in Tulsa very soon, Billy.
Yes.
Very soon. My best to everybody in Tulsa. Thanks for having me on. Stay in touch and send a link to this, and I'll post it so you get more. More clicks.
We appreciate you, Billy Sheehan. Thank you so much for joining Tulsa Music Stream. God bless you, buddy. Thank you.
Right back at you. Thanks so much.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Wow.
That was so cool.
And we didn't have any drops.
Oh, no, because we fixed it. I told you we would.
Oh, man. Good stuff, you guys. Thank you all for participating in the chat. We appreciate the questions.
I think that was the first time we got a guy to actually just jam a little bit there. You
Well,
know?
we've had some of our local guys do that. I think we had Jeff Allen do that one time, but
Oh, that's right. Did a little song.
man, that was we're just whoa, oops. We just kicked Nine's mic over. See, you're here in spirit, buddy. Sorry about that. We're so glad that Billy joined us tonight. Again, we want to say thank you to Marty Overby for helping arrange that interview. I did not know he was buds with Billy, but he is, and put us together with him. And what a nice, just incredible guy. Make sure you stay up to date with what he's got going on. I think he said his Twitter and Facebook is more up to date than his website.
Yeah, and we'll definitely send him a link so he can post it on his page. So.
Yes, indeed. That was incredible. So let me again. I'm not going to put the picture up because when I do, you can't hear us over our mics. But please make sure you check out that benefit for Nate Hull and his family on August 22nd. It's a Sunday at the Cimarron Bar. We do want to give a shout out to our sponsors tonight. Let me find them real quick. Oh, and let's talk about this too. Hopefully everyone can hear me. Okay. This Saturday night, guys, this is it. It's the final show at IDL Ballroom. Bittersweet, but it's going to be a blast. It'll be us at 8 p.m. Rocket Science opens it up. The doors open at 7. We play at 8. And then Dead Metal will come on. Dead Metal Society will come on. I want to say probably around 9:30. So it's going to be a full night of rock and roll with friends and family. There'll probably be some tears, but there'll be a lot of hugs and laughs and good times too. So make sure you come out and join us this Saturday, August 7th at the IDL Ballroom. We also want to thank Todd Cook at Identity Merch for handling our online store. If you don't have a t-shirt yet, pick one up at our online store. You can get long and short sleeve tanks, or you can get a cool hoodie as well. Thanks to our sponsor, Okie PC, making our multiple platform streaming possible. Practical technology and networking services for Oklahoma's local business community. You can call Okie PC at 918-640-0892 or email Dustin at okiepc.com. Thanks to our friends at gregshipman.com. They're working on our pre-recorded segment that we just did at the final national IDL show. We got a cool interview with Phil Lewis that night and some of the crew up there at IDL. So that should be coming out shortly, thanks to gregshipman.com. And man, how excited is Adam Richmond at Surviving Rocklahoma getting? He's got to be getting.
And hopefully we
up.
can get to where we can just log right into him during Rocklahoma.
I hope so.
And just see how things are going.
I hope so.
Unless we'll be there ourselves. So.
Right. Yeah, and hopefully that's going to happen too. So we have some more shows coming up.
Tuesday, August 7th at 7 p.m.
17th.
August 17th, what did I say?
7th.
Oh.
It's okay.
Episode 41 with John Humphrey from Seether.
Checking from the road.
And Rick Fox, Part 2.
Yeah.
Rick Fox from the band Wasp back in the day. Sunday, August 29th at 1 p.m. Episode 42 with Andre Smirnoff of Udo.
Yep.
Udo Dirkschneider, singer from Accept, the band.
And this week we just added this one just a couple days ago, Tuesday, September 14th at 7 p.m.
Britt Lightning
of Vixen. How cool is that going to be? And I've been talking to Jeff Scheel. We're going to reschedule his interview probably for later in the fall because he might have some new and exciting stuff coming up that we're going to want to talk about and promote. But guys, as always, we truly appreciate you supporting our stream. And even if you can't catch it live, you can always catch the replay on our page. And we've got our group page as well, Tulsa Music Stream Group. And you can check that out. And we have a lot of fan interaction with each other on there. And just, submit your ideas. If you want to see certain guests, we're always open to ideas. And anything you would like to see, maybe suggestions, comments, we're open to those comments and suggestions.
And just know that we love you guys. We
really do.
We love you.
It's true. That's why we run cabling through a 110-degree attic to make sure our connection is solid.
Third time for me.
Third
or fourth time now.
I know.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much. Thank you, Tim. He said he really enjoyed the interview.
Good.
Thank you so much. Gay says, I love this guy. Musicians are literally heroes, in my opinion. You probably have no idea how many lives are touched in some unique way.
Oh, that's sweet.
Jeff Barber says, what an awesome interview. Londa says, great interview. Jason says, Edam's smile was number one. Everything is better with Billy Sheehan. You're right, Derek Thrasher. Thank you, guys. Michael Smith says, sure know what you mean. I listened to Jimi Hendrix and Jim Morrison when I was a kid. Sounds like shit, but it's awesome.
That's funny, man.
Awesome.
Very good. Well, again, guys, please join us this Saturday night at the IDL Ballroom. We're going to close that thing out in style. And again, we'll be back on the air. It's going to be, well, not too long. Tuesday, August 17th, we'll be back with John Humphrey checking in from the road and Rick Fox. Have a great night. Be safe. God bless everyone.
He'll probably have like a booby cam
You think
on
so?
the road.
John Humphrey will not.
No.
He will not.
All right.
Again, God bless Nate Hull and his family. We love you guys, and you're in our thoughts and
See
prayers.
you Saturday, Elizabeth. English Talcott.
Yes. Y'all take care. Good night.
Thank you, Laura.
Bye.